Welcome to Headlines and History, live news reactions and your views. We're about to go live soon, so grab your spot and get ready for a sharp, balanced take on today's biggest news stories with a dash of historical insight. Stay tuned. Each week, we tackle the headlines that matter: politics, economics, global events with a balanced lens. We'll react live, tie today's stories to historical moments, and spotlight your views in the chat. From trade talks echoing the 1990s to crises recalling 2008, we're here to unpack it all. Your voice drives the show. Share your thoughts or historical parallels in the live chat, and we'll dive into the best ones. It's news, context, and community all in 1 hour. We're moments away from launching Headlines and History. Stick around for live reactions, historical nuggets, and your chance to chime in. Hit the notification bell, prep your comments, and let's make sense of the news together. See you soon.
All right, welcome back. Today we're going to have a snappy episode. I thought I was going to be able to move on from our conversation around the Nigerian situation where Trump basically threatened the Nigerian government, saying you better take care of the genocide of Christians in your country or we're going to take military action against the terrorists. We covered a Nigerian creator who went on air to claim that America was trying to conduct a regime change. Of course, we debunked that yesterday. Now, today, while I was trying to move on to the mayoral race in New York, because that's basically what's on my newsfeed, and I wanted to talk about it. And maybe if we have the time today, we'll go into that and one more story, because this wasn't the primary story. However, CNN decides to go ahead and do what they've been known to do best. They began to but spin the situation to claim that the Muslims were also being killed in these attacks, as if it was a religious war going on, and then each party gets to attack the other, and there's casualty on both sides. So I want to play a few videos from people who are in Nigeria talking about the situation, and then I would like to hear your thoughts on this matter. So jump into the chat, let me know your thoughts. I'll do my best to go through all the conversations today. Let me know your thoughts in the chat. Now, we're going to go through that, and then we will definitely be having a conversation. It's going to be a very interesting episode. So let's get to it. All right, where's the play button?
New this morning. President Trump is leaving open the possibility of U.S. military action in Nigeria as he accused the nation of not stemming violence against Christians there. The president has asked the Defense Department to prepare options that could include troops on the ground or airstrikes. The situation on the ground, however, is far from straightforward. Violence in Nigeria does affect Christians, but also Muslims, and is driven by religious, ethnic, and resource-based tensions in that country. Joining me now, Fareed Zakaria, host of Fareed Zakaria GPS on CNN. He also has a new book, Age of Revolutions, releases in paperback tomorrow. Make sure to get your copy. There always, Fareed, you're so good at just making us understand what's happening globally. Let's talk about what's happening with Trump in Nigeria. He's suddenly suggesting potentially putting troops on the ground or airstrikes. But he's already threatened strikes inside Venezuela, and we've been seeing the multitude of strikes on boats in international waters, killing more than a dozen people. For a guy who is insisting he deserves a Nobel Peace Prize for stopping wars, how do you read what's happening now?
It seems very impulsive and emotional. He possibly saw something on TV. It is very strange. The Nigerian situation is exactly as you said, Sarah, very complicated. A lot of the violence people have heard about in Nigeria, Boko Haram, that terror group that took those school children we all remember. That was mostly Muslim on Muslim violence. Those are jihadi groups often taking, killing.
All right, so here is Fareed Zakaria. Has he been to Nigeria? Has he lived in Nigeria? Does he know what he's talking about? He's a fairly intelligent guy. I'll grant him that. He's made a great career for himself and made a great family for himself in the United States. But when Nigerians tell you what's going on, and then you sit in your plush office in the United States claiming that the Chibok girls who were abducted and many of them forced into marriages with terrorists was Muslim on Muslim violence. It's crazy because most of these girls had Christian names. I don't know if you're watching and you want to contradict me with facts, please send those facts to me. I lived through this in Nigeria. And again, we kept seeing these calls for people to send help to help save these girls. Most of these girls were Christians. It's not a Muslim on Muslim thing. This is how they distort the facts, trying to water down the fact that something is actually happening. And CNN is just doing a great job keeping their image as a fact-based news outlet intact, don't you think?
Killing Muslims, not in all cases, but in many of them. There is Muslim Christian violence, as you say. Some of it is based on farmers versus goat herders. The current president, Tinubu, is actually...
They are not goat herders, Fareed. This is where we start seeing the disconnect between what CNN knows and what they want to claim. These are cattle rearers. They walk around the country with cattle, with cows, not goats. And most of them carry submachine guns, which have been loaned to them either by military personnel or the police, or they've been bought and handed over to them by wealthy northern people who own these cattle. This is what happens in Nigeria. Again, CNN just misrepresenting the entire situation. And if you just listen to CNN and you don't know anyone from Nigeria, you would say, well, President Trump is being emotional. He's overstating things. He's blowing things out of proportion. And Lagos, Nigeria is not where these crimes are happening. They'll show you a picture of Lagos, Nigeria, and they want you to believe that everything is fine. Okay, I lived in Lagos. You don't see the violence happening in Lagos. It's happening in the northern parts of Nigeria where in some areas, you barely have cell phone coverage. Whenever stuff like that is going on, no one knows until it's all over. So they're just lying once again.
He's actually been trying his best to diffuse
please, okay,
that kind
hang
of
on.
violence.
If you're watching, again, please send your comments in the chat. We're going to address the chat. We're going to try to keep this live stream on to about an hour. So we're going to be real quick. So please just send in your comments and let your voice be heard.
An exemplary example of Nigeria's kind of multi-religious tradition. He is Muslim, the president of Nigeria. He's married to a Christian woman who is an ordained minister. And he often talks about how that marriage is part of what he's trying to do. Nigeria is 50% Christian, 50% Muslim. So it's an odd place for President Trump to interject himself, particularly militarily. I suspect, like many of President Trump's, emotional outbursts, that will not actually lead to military action. That could set off a kind of tinderbox in Nigeria, but we just have to wait and see. With President Trump, it's often you're trying to mind read this one man.
Yeah, and that can be quite difficult.
All right, so Fareed Zakaria and CNN are in their little box trying to analyze the situation. Fox News does what CNN should be doing. They call someone who actually lives in Nigeria. Let's listen to Fox News. Because the insanity that I see with this, I wanted to cover something completely different, but CNN just had to pull me back into this conversation. So quickly, Fox News calls someone in Nigeria. All right. The brutal murders of and then of Christians they give you a breakdown on what's going on.
From the Pentagon. He posted in part, quote, "The USA will immediately stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria and may very well go into that now disgraced country guns a-blazing to completely wipe out the Islamic terrorists who are committing these horrible atrocities." Paul Adamu is a Nigerian Christian who was kidnapped by Boko Haram 2 years ago. He joins us now. It's so wonderful to have you on the show. Please tell us what happened to you.
It was such a disheartening situation. 2 years ago, I was kidnapped by a dreaded Boko Haram along my way to the airport while I was traveling to Cameroon to meet some of my colleagues, and then I got kidnapped along the line, along the route.
And you were held for how long?
12 days.
Okay. And there are many people, especially young girls, who have been kidnapped by Boko Haram, put into forced marriages, forced conversions. They're still in captivity. The situation there is quite dire.
I know someone in my at the church I attended who got kidnapped that way, and she was never seen again. So when CNN tries to sit on their soapbox and try to make this thing about Trump, it is frustrating. It is not about Trump. Why don't you call someone who lives in the country and ask them questions? Find out if what Trump is trying to do is that important to the people. Don't sit around and... So I'm sorry, I'm getting worked up because there are actual lives at stake. And when President Trump is trying to step in to say, look, you guys deal with this stuff, stop trying to be politically correct. The president is Muslim. He's married to a Christian who is an ordained minister, yada, yada, yada. And they engage in this foolishness of trying to make President Trump look incompetent or illegitimate. It's old. Let's talk about the issues. Pick up the phone, call someone in Nigeria who's actually had an experience with Boko Haram and talk to them and find out the facts. Don't just sit down there, show pictures of Lagos, and then tell us everything is fine.
Trump has said, here's what Nigeria's president has said in response. He said that the characterization of Nigeria as religiously intolerant does not reflect our national reality, nor does it take into consideration the consistent and sincere efforts of the government to safeguard freedom of religion and beliefs for all Nigerians. What's your message? What's it like to be a Christian in Nigeria?
First, I want to thank and applaud the United States of American President Donald Trump for designating Nigeria as a CPC, because this is one of the things that we have always wanted. For the message of the Nigerian president, that I think at this point, I would say that there is a time when propaganda has no appeal, where propaganda has lost an appeal. And this is actually the time, because whatever is happening in Nigeria at this moment, I would say that Nigeria is the worst place to be as a Christian, like the worst place in the whole of the world to be as a Christian, because we wake up every day with news of killings. Every day with news of massacring of Christians. Is totally a genocide that is happening here in Nigeria. There is nothing anybody will tell me, because I have been in here for as long as I know. I've been in these places where these attacks have taken place. I've seen women who are crying for the loss of their husbands. I've seen children who are crying for the loss of their parents. I've seen parents who are crying for the loss of their children. I've been to churches that have been burnt down. These are not things that I've heard from the news or someone telling me. This is something that I witnessed somewhere. I've been myself. I've witnessed where terrorism is at the highest point, where people are killed and slaughtered like chickens every day.
Paul, I don't have a lot of time left, but I just want to ask you one last question. How have you and other Christians kept the faith during this persecution?
We are grateful for the organization I work with, Irish Global, who have taken it upon themselves to care for these persecuted Christians by providing relief materials, emergency kits, and then also providing them with discipleship, where they are being told that despite all that is happening to them, Christ still loves them.
Paul Adamu, just so you know, the African church, the Nigerian church in particular, the Christians there have been an amazing example of faith through persecution and martyrdom. And we are praying for all of you very much. And we hope the president will do something that will make a difference for your.
All right, so this is the difference between CNN and Fox News. CNN sits around with analysts who don't live in Nigeria, sitting in their cushy homes, showing photos of Lagos, where none of these crimes are being committed. There's no religious violence happening in Lagos. There are parts of the country where there's no religious violence because those regions are predominantly Christian. But in the regions that are predominantly Muslim, that's where this is happening. Take your cameras, go to those regions and cover the news, CNN. Now they sit down and they try to prove to us that none of this is happening. Now, here is someone from Nigeria telling us exactly how it is.
The world, and you want to see a better world. Your interest is not just free Palestine. I mean, there are more people dying in Nigeria than are dying in Palestine. I can tell you that last year alone, over 500,000 Christians were killed in Nigeria just in 1 year. And nobody's protesting. The activists are not saying anything. For me, that's hypocrisy. In the north of Nigeria, Christians are being killed daily because the Islamic militants don't want Christians to exist in the north of Nigeria. They want to see a world where there are no Christians at all. And they want to conquer not just Nigeria, they want to conquer Africa, they want to conquer Europe, and they want to conquer America. The younger generation who want to live in a better world must speak out today. And I'm calling on all advocates of a free world to.
So that is a Nigerian speaking up about what's going on. While CNN is busy analyzing how Muslims are dying, here's a Christian funeral procession in Nigeria. I'm going to kill the audio because there's nothing being said. I'm going to take this caption off, and you'll see the procession of coffins. These are Christians. Muslims don't bury their dead in coffins. They wrap them in white cloths. There's no Muslim mass grave in northern Nigeria. So CNN is being disingenuous as usual because they can't get away from their Trump derangement syndrome. Simply because President Trump says, we're going to look into the Nigeria situation. They jump in front of a camera to claim that he's being emotional and that what's going on in Nigeria isn't really going on because it is a religious and tribal conflict. Yesterday, I did point out that there are nuances to this situation. I pointed out that we don't just have a crisis where Muslims are attacking Christians, but there are also other Muslims they act like roaming or roving bandits. They are the Fulani herdsmen. They are cattle rearers who migrate from one part of the country to another to feed their cattle. But if you're feeding your cattle, if your job is to rear cattle, why are you carrying submachine guns? They walk around invading people's farmland, and when they are accosted by the owners of the farmland, they slaughter the owners of the farmland. And it has been said that their intention is basically to claim the entire area as Fulani property. That's what is being said. I've lived in Nigeria. Forget what CNN is saying. Now, I have a poll on the YouTube side, on the main channel and on the backup channel. And if you're watching, please take the poll. Is CNN, do you still trust CNN's reporting? Let me know in the poll. And in the chat, please engage and let me know your thoughts about this story, because I don't want to dwell on it, but when you have fake news reporting on incidents like this, there's a reason why it is being reported that way. Now, here's someone I think he's from the United States. He's giving a report on this because he's boots on the ground and he's telling you a few things.
Hills that you see behind me back there are where the Fulani who attacked this area back in December and then subsequently after that, January and February, they're living back there right now. In fact, one man here just said, if we go into those hills right now, the only thing we'll carry back are dead bodies, because they will for surely kill us if we just cross this small hill and go into those bigger hills back there. That's where they're camped right now. The very same Fulanis who caused the Christian massacre on Christmas Day, where they came back and did more and killed more. They're living right in those hills right behind me. So we're right on the line. We're being told not to go any further, because if we go any further, surely all of us, or most of us, or some of us will be killed if we do. So,
yeah, so that is actual reporting, but of course he doesn't work for CNN. CNN doesn't do stuff like this. Okay, so let me know what you think in the chat. All right, is CNN reporting accurate news, or are they still carrying out propaganda? And when it comes to lives, thanks for subscribing, Sandwich. When it comes to lives being lost, we shouldn't start playing politics and trying to bake in your Trump derangement syndrome into the reporting. President Trump said this yesterday, and this is a statement from his own lips.
They're killing record numbers of Christians in Nigeria, and they have other countries very bad also. You know that part of the world very bad. They're killing the Christians and killing them in very large numbers. We're not going to allow that to happen.
Where is the emotional outburst that CNN is talking about? There's no emotional outburst. He's simply stating facts. I read somewhere that a fact-finding mission was sent to Nigeria by the United States government, and it was confirmed that this was happening. So let's talk about this for a few minutes. Okay, let me know your thoughts in the chat. Okay, let me know your thoughts in the chat. Now, to the news that I was trying to cover earlier today. Okay, Zoran Mamdani has been having a hard time. Over the last few days, we've seen reporting about all the lies that he's been telling about his fictional aunt, who experienced Islamophobia. Let's listen to that claim.
I want to use this moment to speak to the Muslims of New York City. I want to speak to the memory of my aunt.
The guy's an actor.
Who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
Well, it was proven that his so-called aunt, who couldn't take the subway because she was wearing a hijab, was living in Tanzania when she was meant to be taking the subway after 9/11. Why is it that these guys are so addicted to lying? He built this persona, and you see, I'll tell you something, all right? There is no Islamic persecution in any Western country. There is none. There is this faux persecution that they want you to believe that they are going through. Why is it that they flee to Western countries, not away from Western countries, experience any persecution in Muslim countries. But for Christians, it's very different. Okay? Why? It's very different for Christians because when Christians go to Muslim countries that are ruled by Sharia law, they experience a lot of persecution. Do you have thriving churches in places like Saudi Arabia, Iran? I mean, churches where, do Christians walk around freely as they choose to, or are they forced to, hide their faith and not celebrate their faith openly? After 9/11, Muslims began to, they created this new word called Islamophobia. It never existed. Never existed before 9/11. But Islamophobia has become this political tool that Muslims use to try to get everyone to cower to them and let them have their way. Of course, we'll talk about that maybe on a different stream. But here's Mamdani, after he got caught lying. Here's what he said.
Yes, I was speaking about my aunt. I was speaking about Zerafui, my father's cousin, who sadly passed away a few years ago. And for the takeaway from my more than 10-minute address about Islamophobia in this race and in this city to be the question of my aunt tells you everything about Andrew Cuomo and his inability to reckon with a crisis of his own.
So first off, he gets called out for the lie. He flips it, says it's not my aunt, it's my dad's cousin. And that has also been debunked as a lie because the same cousin who wasn't living in the United States after 9/11. Why are these guys so addicted to lying? Why? Now, there's also a report out there that his campaign had been essentially funded by George Soros. Now, when you run into reports that George Soros is connected to someone's campaign, you have to take a second look and ask, okay, so why is this person taking money from George Soros? Because it is disturbing when George Soros is connected to any politician, because clearly they aren't good for the United States. Every DA who has been funded by George Soros has been bad for the community where they have served. They are soft on crime. They allow crime to run rampant. Law-abiding citizens don't feel safe living in those areas. And you know what? Why is it so important? Why is it so important that George Soros inserts himself into the politics of the United States? It's a question that everyone should be asking. And we've been talking for years about George Soros's involvement in politics. And nothing seems to be, well, I guess the president has said that they're going to be looking into George Soros. And that's fine. But why is he given so much latitude to be able to influence the politics or the political space in the United States? Do you have any thoughts on that? Let me know in the chat, okay? So chat, let me know what you think, because if someone has been clearly identified as being a problem for the American people, why is he still being allowed to do the things he's doing in politics? That is my question. All right. Now, I have one more video to play, and that video is a warning coming from a citizen of New York. one of these days, I think I was having a conversation with one of the mods yesterday, and she lives in the UK. And I said, look, is the stuff going on in the UK as bad as they say? And she says, yes, that you need to talk about what's going on in the UK. Now, I want to respect my audience who are mostly from the United States. But maybe I would like to know from you guys, do you want me to talk about the connection between what's going on in New York? Because Mamdani is an Islamist socialist running for mayor in New York. So here is someone's take on this, and then I'll ask you my question.
Who are you voting for mayor?
It doesn't matter who you want to be mayor. You vote for who you don't want to be mayor. And you do not want Zoran Mamdani, whatever his name is, to be anywhere close to that office. There are like easily 3 distinct reasons, but really more, that you do not want that. And people don't understand what it's like to elect a Muslim socialist until they elect a Muslim socialist. You could ask our friends in London, how many years has Sadiq Khan been mayor there? How's that going?
What do you think will happen in New York City if Zoran does win?
You know, there'll be a few immediate things. One, if you're Jewish or Christian, you're going to feel extremely unsafe. You're going to be looking at a lot of these sort of Muslim street and Antifa-style element behaving like complete animals because they no longer have any limitations. The police are on their side, right? Second of all, you're going to see tremendous crime. Those same liberal white girls that are probably going to be why Mamdani wins, if he does, are going to be the first on the chopping block. And it's going to be awfully satisfying, grimly so, when they're the ones getting sexually harassed in the subway, because guess what? They're the first in line, because there's no one protecting them, and they're gonna wonder about their vote at that point. But of course, by then,
Why do you say awfully satisfying?
Huh?
Why do you say awfully satisfying?
Because there is something deeply satisfying about someone facing the unintended consequences of their actions. I don't find it satisfying because I like it; it's horrendous. But the fact that they actively voted for this while claiming people like myself and yourself are racist, are fascist, are Nazis. Let's see if they think that way still when they're getting sexually assaulted by some guy who should either be imprisoned.
The reference to London is very important because the UK has been very progressive about electing non-citizens or people who are not natural born citizens as political office holders in the UK. And over time, you've seen how the culture and the representation of the British people, the people native to Britain, is being eroded. And then you've seen this wild increase in women in Europe generally, but in the UK especially, being sexually assaulted. It has gone through the roof. I talked about it a couple of weeks back, and it still bears reference today. Why is it that in places where these cultures are allowed to take center stage, why is it that in those places there is a massive increase in sexual assault? Why is it? These cultures are not compatible with Western civilization. They are not compatible with the Christian values that built these civilizations. And so they get into these civilizations and then they lose their minds. They lose their minds. They aren't compatible. And the sad thing is that the justice system has essentially been weaponized against the people, so that whenever people rise up to say, why is this happening to us? We thought we were helping people. And suddenly they are essentially, when you attack the women, it's an element of jihad. I'll just put it out there. It's an element of jihad. Whenever you go into a new conquered territory, you violate the women. That is an element of jihad, and is acceptable. These people don't see anything wrong with violating women. They do not. They do not. And when you challenge them and you bring up the morality of this, the conversation turns really hostile and violent. Are there peace-loving, peaceful Muslims out there somewhere? Yes, there are. The peace-loving Muslims are, in my head, and you might not like what I'm about to say, in my head, are as fringe as Christians who explore sexual debauchery. Can you really say those are Christians? Because they don't follow the tenets of the teachings of Christ in the Bible. We are taught to stay away from sexual immorality and debauchery, from sin. When you find someone who claims that they are a Christian engaging in those things, are they really a Christian? In the same way, when you see a Muslim engaging in things that are not compatible with the teachings that you find in the Quran, is that person really a Muslim? It's a thought experiment here, guys. I'm not pointing fingers. I'm saying, read the book. Tell me what the book says. Tell me if it is in any way compatible with what we see going on in practicing Muslim life. If, the written text of their book and the written text of our book as Christians, because I'm a Christian, both practicing and professing, all right, not cultural. The West clings to cultural Christianity, which is fine. All right, but the reason why the West is losing the battle against the onslaught of these cultures eradicating every trace of Western civilization is because you have more cultural Christians, people who celebrate Christmas, but they don't read their Bibles. They don't believe in scripture. They believe that the Bible is a book full of suggestions, that you can evolve the teachings of the Bible based on the current zeitgeist. Those are not Christians. Those are cultural Christians. They hold the Bible like it is a badge of honor, but they are not really Christians. All right. So please, don't be offended. Don't be offended when I say these things, because I'm just calling out balls and strikes on both sides. I know Christians, people who are cultural Christians, they celebrate Christmas, they go to church on Christmas Day and on Easter, and that's it. They don't take living as a Christian seriously. They don't take the teaching of the scriptures seriously. When the scriptures push against tradition, the woke ideologies of the day, they back off because they don't want to be seen as a bigot. Cultural Christians will lose every single time when they are faced with fundamentalist cultures. Put any of the fundamentalist cultures, in that gap, you will see that I am right. The UK is losing that battle. Countries like Sweden are losing that battle. The incidents of sexual assault in Sweden are horrific. Why wouldn't the government do anything about it? Because you have a bunch of woke leaders in office who are selling out their countries and their country people to the new power that is rising. Because when you have someone with a conviction attacking you and all you have is head canon of what your country is about, you will lose every single time. The current population of native Europeans would have been erased during the Second World War because they lack conviction. They can't stand up under any kind of persecution, any kind of hardship or difficulty. They are weak. they will not stand up against anything that makes them uncomfortable. So why am I saying all of this? Because it is a reflection on the world we live in today. All of us are going through this today, where we're looking at New York, the economic capital of the world, essentially. Hitler looked at New York and hated New York for two reasons. One, the fact that Jews built the economy in New York. And secondly, the fact that New York was the economic capital of the world. He wanted to bring it down. It has been confirmed that the plans for the Twin Tower attack was a plan that was hatched by the Nazis. And Al-Qaeda found that plan and executed that plan. Hitler always wanted to attack New York, but he couldn't at the time. So when you have New York being taken over by a socialist, Marxist Muslim, who in his own words, and I have the videos to prove it, in his own words, as far as he's concerned, you know, he's more interested in what's going on in other countries than he is what happens to his fellow New Yorkers, if I could call them that. There are videos of him campaigning for the Intifada, claiming that he's more concerned about the happenings in Palestine than what's going on in his own country. And that's the guy that they're about to elect as the new mayor. He's the guy that says that he's going to be fighting Trump to keep Trump from deporting his people. As far as he's concerned, illegal immigrants are his people. They are more important to him than President Trump is. Okay. Thank you, Sir NFS. Thank you for following. All right. So let me know in the chat, you know, we're having a conversation now. All right, we're having a conversation right now. We've gone through the hypocritical story that's been put up by CNN claiming that Nigeria is experiencing a tribal conflict and not a religious genocide. I've played videos that disprove that. I've also played this video of Zoran Mamdani lying about his auntie experiencing Islamophobia. But we have also played videos of his reaction when he was called out for that lie. We just played a video of a man, a New Yorker, explaining what would happen to New York if Mamdani wins. And I've just gone through an explanation on the problems that you will face when you have a clash of civilizations or a clash of cultures. When you have a culture that is committed to its ideologies like Islam, you don't have cultural you don't have cultural Muslims. You have fundamentalists. Islam is not like Christianity. You can't just wake up one day and decide that you can pick and choose which part of the Quran you believe. You don't do that with Islam. For Christianity, because Christianity is not like Islam, we don't execute people who decide they don't want to be Christians anymore. We don't do that. So you have a lot of people who straddle the line. They claim to be Christians, but they choose to dress any way they like. They choose to talk any way they like. They even choose to worship any way they like. And because of that, we have created cultural Christianity, where people can be Christian only in name only, but not in practice. All right. So At this point, so a comment in the chat. At this point, I do not know what else to say. How can a news outlet trivialize the loss of countless lives? Talking about the report from CNN. So guys, please leave your comments in the chat. I want to respond. I have only a few more minutes to respond to your comments in the chat. I would love to have some time to talk to you. So, Sir NFS, I hope I caught you up to what we're doing right now. All right. Maybe you joined in a little late. I wish I could stay longer, but I have a few things to sort out on the personal side. So I don't have as much time as I would usually have to talk with you, but rush to the chat. Let me know your thoughts on everything that I've talked about. Now, give me your thoughts on the CNN story. Give me your thoughts on what I've just said about Zoran Mamdani, and what do you think I mean about the whole situation with cultural Christianity and Islam. Islamophobia is a made-up word. It never existed, and honestly, we should think through these things, because whenever someone accuses us of being Islamophobic, it's another way of telling us to shut up and not call out the things that we're seeing. All right, so let me finish this video because there's a little more he said.
Or mental asylum. Cuomo's not great. I never thought in a million years I would advocate for Cuomo. He killed all those people with the nursing homes. He was just kind of just a long time. His dad, I think, was, if I recall correctly, was governor. Like, he's a long time political hack. But I'll take a political Democrat hack over a Muslim socialist.
I mean, how bad can a Muslim socialist be that someone would say something like this? How bad could it be? Take it from me. It is that bad. We've seen in Nigeria, a Muslim is in office. He's married to a cultural Christian, because anyone who follows the teachings of Scripture knows that Scriptures teach not to marry a non-Christian. So maybe she was a Muslim, then she converted, and then they got married. I don't know their story. Okay, maybe let me know in the chat. But a practicing Christian will not go out of their way and abandon the teachings of the Bible and marry someone who is not a Christian, who is a Muslim. All right. So you can push back, but I'm only stating the obvious. I'm stating the obvious. I'm not making things up. It's all in the Scriptures. The things that I said about the Quran, go check it out. Don't sling accusations at me, calling me an Islamophobe. That's old. Tell me what the Quran says. The Quran actually says. We'll fact check it, and you find out that it's true. It's an uncomfortable truth. It's an uncomfortable truth. Now, in closing, President Trump today, I'm going to see if I can get through this very quickly because it's an important story. I actually wanted to cover this story first. But I decided that I was going to talk about the Nigerian situation first. All right. So yesterday, Scott Adams, I think he's the creator of the Dilbert cartoons. He's been going through a health crisis, and he writes a post on X, and he says, on Monday, I will ask President Trump via X to save my life. He offered to help me if I needed it. I'm sorry, I didn't share the screen. Here it is. He offered to help me. Oh, kept this chat on the screen for too long. Sorry about that. He offered to help me if I needed it. I need it. As many of you know, I have metastasized prostate cancer. My healthcare provider, Kaiser of Northern California, has approved my application to receive a newly FDA-approved drug called Pluvicto. But they have dropped the ball in scheduling the brief IV to administer it, and I can't seem to fix that. I am declining fast. I will ask President Trump if he can get Kaiser of Northern California to respond and reschedule it for Monday. That will give me a fighting chance to stick around on this planet a little bit longer. Now, I read this tweet, and then there was a response. President Trump says on it, and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I was blown away by his response. I was just blown away, like, wow, President Trump actually responded and decided to go ahead with fulfilling his promise to this guy. I was amazed. I was blown away. But nothing prepared me for the video that Scott Adams made. So this is Scott Adams. I'm going to find the video. Usually I have all my videos queued up. Today has been all over the place. So Scott Adams released this video, and I was totally floored by it.
So some of you know the story that over the summer, when the news came out that I was declining, President Trump called me home and blew my mind. But one of the things he offered was, he said that if you need anything, let me know. But of course, you have to be careful about, does he really mean that? Does he really mean if you need anything, let me know? He's running the whole country, and some would say part of the world. That doesn't seem like something a president could possibly do. But when things aren't working out, and you got to try all the doors. I sort of reached the end of one rope, which was, I wasn't sure I was getting any health care at all. I might have been. I still don't know. But what I don't know is if they'd even started the process to get me that potentially life-saving drug that I've been trying to get. And so I wrote a message saying that on Sunday, I wrote that I would be asking the president on Monday. Now, that would be today. But as you know, President Trump likes to do things ahead of schedule, and better than you expected, and ahead of schedule. What is it? Below budget, ahead of schedule. And I don't know who he talked to first, but I feel like a lot of things went in motion at the same time. So I was contacted by Don Jr., who was literally in Africa. He's in Africa on a Sunday, and Don Jr. is calling me and saying, "Leah, I'm on this. My father wants me to, get this done." Then Bobby Kennedy calls me. Bobby Kennedy calls me. Like, what can I do? What's the situation? Dr. Oz calls me. Dr. Oz.
On a Sunday.
How can I help? Oh my God. And then you may have seen that President Trump, best president ever, he posted my message to him that was on X yesterday. It was a public message. And he just said, on it, on it. He was so on it. Oh my God, was he on it? Anyway, it turns out that it turns out that nobody in senior management at Kaiser, my healthcare company, had a good weekend.
It's why am I playing this? It's just something to feel good about. Okay. If I say that I am supporting someone's policies, I support their policies, I like their policies, and that's basically the way I feel about President Trump. I love his policies. They work. They are good for the American people, and they are a subject matter. They are something that other leaders should look at and to learn how to lead their own people. That's why I love his policies. Do I love him? As a Christian, I love him. Yeah, I like him. as an individual, I don't know the skeletons in his closet. I don't know the things that he's hiding from the rest of us, but who knows? That's between him and the Lord, okay? But it is genuinely gratifying and validating to see him do something as honest and as humane, if I can use that word in this context, as fulfilling a promise that he made to a dying man. Like, the man has prostate cancer. If left untreated, he will be dead. And he's coming through in spades, for this promise. This is my philosophy. If a man can keep a promise to one person who really needs it, then he will for sure keep his promise to the millions of Americans who voted him in as president of the United States last November. And I think America is in good hands, irrespective of what we've seen CNN try to do to him today by accusing him of being emotional and jumping the gun on the whole situation with Nigeria and all the other networks that attack him constantly. I would like to say well done to 60 Minutes. There was an interview that held yesterday. I watched the entire interview, and I think it was a fair interview. There were some potholes in the interview, but it was generally a fair interview. Like I keep telling you guys, my job here is to call balls and strikes. If I see something good, I'll call it out and say, this is good. If I see something bad, I will say, this is wrong. And if I see an outlet that has historically not treated President Trump fairly, eventually turn the corner and do something good, I'll say they did something good. It's called fair coverage. It's called being nonpartisan. In other words, it's called telling the truth. And for us here, we want to be truth tellers. We want to tell the truth. We don't attack people just for the sake of attacking people. We attack policies, we attack ideas. We try hard not to attack people. And so if someone lies, we say they lied. All right? They lied, and we call it out. We don't try to attack that individual. All right, so we're basically at the tail end of our episode today. Today was essentially a slow day, in my opinion. I had the other things that I wanted to cover, but we'll leave it till our live stream tomorrow. So I'm waiting on you guys to kind of, add some more color to the conversation, but it's Monday. And what do you know? People get slow on Mondays. Maybe the weekend was busy. Maybe it was an emotional weekend for most of us watching the mass graves yesterday. Yesterday's live stream was amazing. Thank you all so much. If you were here during the live stream yesterday, let me know in the live chat. I was on the live stream yesterday. So I want to just say hi and thank you for coming back to today's episode. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be wrapping up in a bit. All right. But just so you know, we have a call-in feature that we've already launched and we've used, but it is a members-only feature. You only have access to it as a member. You have a link that is sent out just before we go live to the members. And if you are interested in joining the live stream, you hit the link and then you're pulled into the live stream as a panelist. We react to the news together. We react to the stories together, and then you get to share your thoughts. And it's not a place where we have a bunch of yes men. All right. If you don't agree with me, but you can do it intelligently and push your ideas intelligently, amazing. I would love to have that. But it is a members only feature. So consider becoming a member. Use the link in the description of this live stream. Hit it, join to be a member, and then you have access to becoming a part of our future episodes. And as a member, there are other perks that you get access to. Everything will be explained to you in the members sign up that you will be seeing. All right. Yeah. So I have one confirmation. I was on the live stream yesterday. Tara was on the live stream. Yeah, she was. And it was fun. So tomorrow we're going to be back same time tomorrow. To be honest, this entire project is in development. It's in development. I'm always experimenting. I'm always testing things out. And one of the things that I am considering testing is having the live streams later in the day. But that's going to affect people from other parts of the world who may not be able to join the live stream if I have it later in the day. So what I'm going to be doing is I will be considering making adjustments to the timing. Right now, most people are at work. Most people who would love to be on the live stream can't join because they're busy at work. And I understand that dynamic. So what I would like to do is to have all of us kind of weigh in eventually on the best time for the live stream. YouTube tells me that the best time actually is at around 5 p.m. Eastern. 5 p.m. Eastern time. And at 5 p.m. Eastern time, that might be a good time for YouTube, but it might not be a good time for me because I'm a father, I'm a husband, and that's about the time my wife and kids need me to pay attention to them. So you guys let me know your thoughts. Maybe I keep doing this on this schedule, and maybe eventually we get more people who can join during this belt. And then maybe I can do a second live stream every day, but that's going to be crazy, doing 2 live streams every day. I'm still thinking about it. I'm still experimenting on the channel, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section or in the chat. I do want to serve you better. So help me by subscribing to the channel. If you're not subscribed yet, like the channel, share the channel. If you want to be part of the call-in and you want to take advantage of the other features that we're designing in the back end, please become a member of the channel. If you can't become a member, consider donating to the channel by sending a super chat or a super thank, or by using the donation link in the description of this video or in the chat of this queue. Now, I don't think if you don't have a donate link on your screen, or sorry, on your chat thread, all right, I'm showing it here on the screen. So this is the donation link. I'm just showing it so that you guys, if you feel like donating to help us keep the lights on, please go ahead and do so. All right. Thank you all so much for being a part of this live stream. It was great hanging out with you guys and sharing my thoughts on the hypocrisy of CNN and, the appalling reporting that they've engaged in over the Nigerian Christian genocide. We've shown you how Fox did it. I prefer how Fox did it. They should call someone on the ground experiencing it, not sit and try to analyze something from their air-conditioned homes without going out into the wild to see what's actually going on and engaging in misinformation. So thank you so much. Continue sending your comments. Even if the live stream is up and you can't engage the chat, do so in the comment section. It helps out a whole lot. Until tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern time, I'll see you then. God bless you.